Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Comic Hall. I'm your host, Dylan Lang. This is going to be my last episode of 2018. It's going to be covering 3 weeks worth of comics. To make a long story short, I've been sick over the last couple weeks and just have not had time to sit down and do this Comic Hall. Hopefully I'll be able to make some more time into the new year and we won't have these 3-week wrap-ups, but I'm here now. And these are all comics that have come out over the last 3 weeks. As always, I will do the ones that came out this week first, and then I think I'm going to go backwards and do the ones that came out 2 weeks before, and then last week as well. I don't think I'm going to go backwards in case there's a numbering issue. Anyway, something interesting about this episode. These last 3 weeks of comics, 3 weeks ago on my daughter's birthday, December 12th, I spent the most money I have spent on comics this year, including 2 for her, which are not in this pile, and 1 for my wife, which is not in this pile either, which I took upstairs. So 3 comics added to the pile I'm going to show you in a little bit. It was quite a pretty penny. And then, believe it or not, the week after that, the 19th, was actually kind of a big week as well. Not as big, obviously, as the 12th, but still, a big one than I thought it was going to be. So I spent another good amount of money. Not as much as I wanted to. I mean, more than I wanted to, but you know what? It's Christmas and we had the money, so I figured I'd do it. And then this week, I had spent the least amount on comics and got the least amount of comics I've ever bought. And that includes the 5th weeks that happened during the year. This was almost like a 5th week since it was Christmas week. But this is the least amount I got, and we're going to cover that one right now. I got 2 comics this week. 2. I paid cash. What's interesting about this is only 13 comic books came out this week. None from DC. They did some trades, and that was about it. Marvel did about 4 or 5 of them. The other independents did a few of them, and there was the other major ones, but none of the minor independent groups did comics this week. So all the comics that came out this week were premier vendors: Image, Dark Horse, Marvel, DC, Dynamite, IDW, and Boom Studios. They all did comics this week, and as I said, only amounted to 13 books total. Some only did 1, some did 2 or 3. So DC did 0. They did their trades. Actually, I think I am going to go backwards individually. I don't think it should be a big issue. So I got 2 books this week. 2. Next week, I was looking at the stuff coming out in early January. It's going to be about normal where I'm going to be cutting 2 books that I have been following, so it'll be less than usual, less money. Not going to be as bad, so that's pretty good. But here we go. These are comics that came out this week, so you'll be able to get them. And literally, this is what happened. My comic store has a giant new this week display. 3/4 of it was stuff from last week, and there was just one little section that had a sign that said new this week, and this is there. The big book for this week is Fantastic Four number 5. This is the year of the wedding in comic books. Batman and Catwoman were supposed to get married in Batman number 50. Spoiler alert, they didn't, but that's part of Tom King's vision. He's got another 50 issues he's going to write, and eventually it should even itself out down the line. Colossus and Kitty Pryde were supposed to get married also. They didn't, but Rogue and Gambit did, and Mrs. and Mrs. X is a comic coming out next week that portrays their stuff. This is Fantastic Four number 5, which is actually, coincidentally, if you add all the renumbering and put it with the regular number, is the 650th issue of the Fantastic Four. This is The Thing and his blind girlfriend, Alicia Masters, getting married. Unlike the other ones, these 2 actually end up getting married. Ben Grimm is Jewish, so there's a Jewish ceremony, but it's a book, and as you can see also, you'll see it better in last week's books. The Stan Lee tribute band up here has been covering all the Marvel books, and it starts off with black pages, a picture of Stan in remembrance of him, and then it leads into the comic story. This comic story was written by Dan Slott with art with 3 different stories, all written by Dan Slott. Aaron Cooter did the artwork for 4 Minute Warning. Michael Allred did the artwork for Change Partners, and Adam Hughes, who actually was coincidentally on the 26th, was signing comics at my comic store, did the artwork for Guys Night Out. So you got a bunch of stories with the prepping for the wedding and getting all the wedding stuff going on, the different storylines, retelling of the Fantastic Four's origin, and how he met Alicia and stuff like that. And then Aaron Cooter's story continuing through. Then you have the bachelor party, drawn by Adam Hughes. And then the bachelorette party is kind of in there as well, which is kind of funny since she's blind and can't really see. And then the storyline that sets up the next comic story in here. So, but yes, as proof. And there you're stepping on the, just for the Jewish thing. So they got married, it's official. So we'll come back to that. So good on that. If you want something fun like that, that's a good thing to do. And then from Image, we have Cat Fight number 4. I'm sorry, Cat Fight. No, it's Man Eaters number 4. I'm sorry. But what's interesting about this is it's not really a continuation of the story. Basically, it's about women who can turn into cats. This is a magazine. This is a comic book. Issue number 4 of Man Eaters is basically a parody magazine about cats. So you have articles, you have ads. There's like really no artwork in it. It is like a mini magazine, and I was not expecting this at all. I thought it was just going to be, you know, the cover was going to be like this magazine, but no, that's what it is. But it is issue 4 of that comic. So, where is the creative team on this? Chelsea Kane was the writer creator. The cover creative producer was Leah Mitternick. Additional interior art was Leah Mitternick and Stella Grinvas. Additional writing was Eliza Fantastic Moen, and swagger was Katie Lane. This book is done entirely by women, so huzzah to them. That's it for comics that came out this week. So those 2 ones I got. As I said, there's 11 more out there. X-Force number 1 is one of those. Superior Spider-Man. There's a few other ones, but as I said, there's no DC books out this week. So now this is last week's stuff. This was, as I said, the middle week, and this is more like a regular week for me. A little more than I thought it was going to be, but what do I know? First up is, with the Aquaman movie coming out and doing gangbusters, this is the best time to have a new creative team on Aquaman, but they did not renumber it. This is actually number 43. It's written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, who did a fantastic job with Captain Marvel, with art by Robson Roca. New era of Aquaman starts. So if you enjoyed the Aquaman movie, definitely go to your local comic book store, pick this up. As I said, this was last week. They should still have plenty of issues of it, and it'll probably be around the new this week pile as well. Tom King has been killing it on Batman, and here's the newest issue of Batman number 61. Number 62 comes out next week, so that'll be interesting. This is called Nightmare. It's going to be a 6-part one-shots. Number 60 ended on a cliffhanger. The next 6 issues are sort of filling in the gaps before they tell you what's going to happen with the cliffhanger. So this is written by Tom King, and it's going to be different creative teams on it. The artwork is by Travis Moore, and we go back to the story of a kid who looks a lot like young Bruce Wayne, whose parents were killed in a similar way that Bruce Wayne's parents were killed, and he's gone mental that he believes he is Bruce Wayne, and he's also gone into a psychotic mode where he wants to kill the person who killed his family. So Tom King's been doing a really good job. He appeared in an earlier issue of Batman's run that Tom King was doing, and they just wanted to cover that as well. Freedom Fighters #1, 12-issue miniseries. This takes place on an alternate reality where the Nazis have taken over the Earth and are running it, and the Freedom Fighters are people who are the resistance fighting against them. I guess, obviously, kind of a updated stories going on nowadays. It's written by Robert Venditti with art by Eddie Burrows with inks by Eber Ferreira. The Freedom Fighters have been around for a really long time. This is the first time they've actually put them in a unique predicament where they're taking on Nazis and covering sort of like what's going on in our present day. So definitely a social comment about that. I bought this issue for the variant cover because I loved it. It's Christmas because I said this came out the week before Christmas. This is Catwoman #6. Joelle Jones, writer, artist. She did not do the cover, but this is just a great Catwoman Christmas cover. This is the final part of her first story arc. It's been a really good series. Catwoman getting back on her feet type of thing. And very impressed by Joelle Jones's art and writing. Excuse me. Also, I got this variant cover because it was Steven Sedgwick, and I like his artwork. This is Justice League #14. Starts a new story arc about Hawkworld, written by Scott Snyder with art by Jim Chung. James Tynion also has a story credit in this as well. Steven Segovia also was a penciler on this. So Jim Chung and Steven Segovia and Mark Morales and Segovia on inks. So it's going to cover the Hawkworld story and continuing Scott Snyder's big story arc that he's been working on. It's a 2-year story arc that's happening. So bringing all this about. So there is that. Batman Kings of Fear #5 is the last DC book from last week. This is the Kelly Jones, Scott Peterson miniseries, going to end next month. Kelly Jones' atmospheric, Halloween-esque sort of artwork. I kind of wish that this came out earlier so that it would end around Halloween, but now it's going to end in January, which is just kind of weird. But Kelly Jones had an interesting run on Batman a while back, and now he's coming back to do it. It's a very unique art style. Kind of creepy too. Now from Marvel, this is last week's book still. As I said, again, the Stan Lee trade dress is all over the place. This is Spider-Geddon #5, the final issue of the Spider-Geddon story. We also have Stan's soapbox where he started talking about his career and stuff like that. And this is the final part of the Spider-Geddon storyline, which Into the Spider-Verse has a lot to do with. They took the idea of alternate Spider-Mans from this comic. Not Spider-Geddon, but the Spider-Verse was a comic that came out a few years ago based on a story by Dan Slott, but this one was written by Christos Gage with art by Jorge Molina, Carlo Barberi, Stefano Caselli, and Joey Vasquez with inks by Jay Leaston, Jose Marzan Jr., Stefan Caselli, and Joey Vasquez. So the alternate reality Spider-Mans are working together to take out the big bad guy, and all the miniseries groups are coming together to take it on. So this is the final issue of that Spider-Geddon story. Let's get this one and hit the other Spider-Geddon ones. Are there any other ones? No, there isn't. Okay. I thought there were. So that was the last issue of that. Spider-Man #12 also came out last week. This is the recent issue, the recent storyline of Spider-Man, written by Nick Spencer with art by Ryan Ottley and inks by Cliff Rathburn. So it's been a very interesting story. I've actually enjoyed bits and pieces of it. So Nick Spencer's good about bringing back old school Spider-Man villains, so that's pretty cool. I've gotten Dawn into this book, and I really enjoyed it as well. This is Domino #9. Domino's been a fantastic series as well, and Dawn's actually enjoying it herself. This is written by Gail Simone. Where's the credits here? Written by Gail Simone with art by David Baldion and Michael Shelfer, and inks by Roberto Poggi. So this has Domino and her girl gang going after a long shot. And it's been a fun ride. Gail Simone is having a blast writing the series. So Good on that. Next up, we have The Life of Captain Marvel #5, also another book that my wife loves. This is the final issue of the year 1 of Captain Marvel. Pick up the trade of this before you see Captain Marvel in March, but go see Captain Marvel, the movie. It's going to be brilliant. This one was written by Margaret Stohl with art by Carlos Pacheco, Rafael Fonteras. And those are in the present day, and Marguerite Sauvage is in the flashbacks. So you get the history of Captain Marvel. If you want to know about the Captain Marvel in the comics, read about this, and I'm sure they're going to take some of this stuff from in this series and make it to the movie. So if you want to get a little bit of a head start about who Captain Marvel is, this might be a good place. Plus, Carlos Pacheco's artwork is fantastic. So my wife absolutely adores Captain Marvel, and Kelly Sue DeConnick, who's taken over for Aquaman, used to write Captain Marvel, so definitely worth a look. The trade should be out in time for the Captain Marvel movie, which comes out in March. Again, Shuri #3, this one is for my daughter. This is about, Shuri, if you saw the Black Panther movie, that actually this year's been so long and so hard, so bad that no one remembers that Black Panther came out this year. It seemed like it came out like a year or so ago, but no, it came out earlier this year. So Shuri became a hugely popular character, and she got her own book, and my daughter loves it, so I bought this for her. It's written by Nnedi Okorafor with art by Leonardo Romero, and my daughter has absolutely engulfed it, and she loved it, and I can't wait to give her these new issues tomorrow because she's in bed sleeping right now. I also give my wife her books as well. Marvel Knights #4. This is the 20th anniversary of the Marvel Knights series, which re-established the street cred heroes like Black Panther and Punisher and stuff like that, and sort of became the what's the word I'm looking for? The foundation for the Netflix series. But they're doing a mini-series with the 20th anniversary of these characters, written by Vita Ayala and Donny Cates, with art by Joshua Cassara. So it's not in usual Marvel continuity. It is in the Marvel Knights continuity, which is a little slightly different. But it brought all these characters back to prominence, and this one focuses on Black Panther. Also from Marvel, we have West Coast Avengers #6, again with the Stan Lee trade dress. Kelly Thompson, writer, art by Danielle DiNicuolo. So West Coast Avengers was always one of my favorite books from the 80s, and so Kelly Thompson is one of my favorite writers, and to get them all together with some nice artwork and a good story is good on that. Exiles #11. This one will be ending soon, which is a shame. Exiles is such a great concept. Group of heroes that travel through other dimensions and hook up with other dimensional heroes that go around and take on other dimensional heroes. Pretty good. Saladin Ahmed, writer, Javier Rodriguez, penciler, Alvaro Lopez inks. So alternate reality stories are always great, and you get to try as many different versions of your heroes that you like. And sometimes some of the ones you find are very popular. Finally, the last Marvel book we have is Captain America #6. Ta-Nehisi Coates, writer, and Lionel Francis Yu, art, Jerry Algalon inks. So it's a different take on Captain America, and well worth it. That's it for Marvel from last week. Independence, we have Middle West #2. I enjoyed the first issue. I can't wait to read the second one. It's written by Scotty Young with art by Jorge Corona. Basically follows a boy through the Midwest, has to take on demonic creatures. But it's kind of a weird fantasy type of thing, but it's really quite interesting. The artwork is really stellar. Red Sonja #24. I think we got one more issue left of this run by Amy Chu before we get a new series of this. Amy Chu and Alex Chang story, Eric Burnham script, along with Amy Chu, Pasquale Quilano, illustrator. So again, as always, hot female in chainmail is another reason why usually the reason why I buy this. And you get plenty of shots of the hot female in chainmail who's tough as nails. So there we go. Beast of Burden number 4. This should have come out last month, but it got a little delayed. This is written by Evan Dorkin with art by Benjamin Dewey. Basically, it's about a group of dogs who have to stop evil from entering their woods. So it's kind of a horror comic, but with dogs being the heroes and they can talk and stuff. It's pretty cool. I think that's the last issue of that one. Finally, I'm not going to unravel this one, but this is the newest issue of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Tempest. This is number 3. The reason why it's in clear plastic is there are 3D glasses in it because there's a 3D sequence in it. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is wrapping up here. It is the series written by Alan Moore with art by Kevin O'Donnell, or McDonald. Kevin O'Neill, excuse me. Basically about literary heroes who join forces to take on stuff, but it's so dense with literary nods and jokes and in-jokes that it's crazy. And it's the last story of Alan Moore is going to do. He's going to retire after that, so no more Alan Moore stuff. Now we come to the big one. This is the biggest batch of comics that I bought this year, 2018, over $100 worth. And as I said, 3 of them are not here because I've already given them to my daughter and my wife. It was just weird timing, and the way things worked out, it was just crazy. So first up, we have Detective Comics number 994. Now, I haven't been reading Detective Comics so much, but when I saw Peter Tomasi was taking over as writer, who I absolutely love, I'm like, I'm there. And he's also brought Doug Mahnke along from his Superman days to draw the book, which is even better. And this is number 994. They're 6 issues away from 1,000. They do 2 issues a month. So this came out. You're not going to get another issue this year. So next year will be 2. And then sometime in February, you'll get issue 1,000. So Peter Tomasi, Doug Mahnke, gorgeous artwork as always. I can't wait to read this. I haven't read it yet. Jaime Mendez did the inks. But should be really interesting. Tomasi, I just love his story, and we'll see where this goes and leads to issue 1,000. So we'll see what happens with that. I need to get that. Superman number 6 brings the return of his son Jonathan from outer space. It's written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Ivan Reyes. Joe Prado inks, and I think there's another artist on there, right? Nope. And Claire Albert. Again, surprised that Ivan Reyes has done 6 straight issues. I guess he had plenty of time to do it because he has been notorious for doing 1 issue and then not doing another one for like 12 issues because it takes him forever to draw. I guess this is an issue without borders, trying a different sort of tale of it. So this wraps up the first story arc for Superman. Wonder Woman number 60 continues the G. Willow Wilson era on Wonder Woman with art by Kerry Nord. So another really good book that comes into play. That one I normally wasn't reading, but I am now because of the creative team. I think who is it? And maybe my kids will like this better because it's Greek mythology and they're into that kind of stuff right now. So is that Justin Gray on inks or is that Mick Gray? G. Willow Wilson writer, Kerry Nord pencils, Mick Gray on inks. So Wonder Woman has been good. This is the third part of G. Willow Wilson. So if you go to comic book store, pick up the previous issues. Yep, this is the 3rd issue. So issue number 58 was the first one of the new creative team. So go to a comic book store if you're interested. Pick up 58, 59, and 60. 61 comes out next week along with Batman number 62. So that's good. That's another one that my wife reads. Here's another one my wife reads. Justice League Dark number 6, which is great. James Tynion the 4th writer. Daniel Semprere is the penciler, and Juan Albarrán is the inker. this is the Justice League of their Mystic heroes, and there's a lot of stuff going on. Zatanna, who is one of my wife's favorite characters, is in this as well. Wonder Woman is the leader because she's been connected now to the Mystic era. You've got the Demon, Swamp Thing, John Constantine, Dr. Fate, Detective Chimp, Blue Devil, all kinds of great stuff. So Justice League Dark is a great series right now, continuing that one as well. Book that surprised me this year, Hawkman. So I'm all in on Hawkman. Hawkman number 7, written by Robert Venditti. Brian Hitch has been doing all the artwork on it, so he's been doing a great job of that as well. Great story by Robert Venditti also, which is a new take on Hawkman's origin. Brian Hitch and Andrew Currier are the inkers. So some good stuff, great story, enjoying it immensely. And Hawkman has always been a character that I could live without sometimes, but I'm just enjoying this series right now, and I'm going to continue working on it till I don't like it anymore. You should check it out too. Flash number 60, continuing Joshua Williamson's thick, strong story as well, with art by Rafa Sandoval, inks by Jordi Tarragona. He's been doing some crazy things with the Flash, and introducing all kinds of interesting aspects to the world of the Flash to make it different. So, pretty good on that. Supergirl number 25, double-sized issue. I'm a little upset that we didn't get any Kevin Maguire artwork on this because he's been doing the first few issues. But we got Mark Andreyko story, Emanuela Lapacino pencils, Ray McCarthy inks. We also have some pencils from Lam Medina and Sean Parsons. So a couple different stories, which finishes up Kara's adventures trying to find Krypton and learning about all kinds of stuff. So double-sized issue, so it's a little bit more expensive, but hey, it's a good story. And there's another storyline with art by Brad Walker and Drew Hennessy. So there's a couple stories in here as well. Looks like it features Brainiac 5, so I'm good on that. So we will see what happens. Batman Annual number 3, written by, not by Tom King, by Tom Taylor, which is a funny joke because people mistake Tom Taylor for Tom King. So Tom King said, hey, how about you write the Batman Annual for me? And Tom Taylor was like, certainly will. So he wrote this with art by Otto Schmidt, and it focuses on Alfred. The artwork is amazing. It is a double-sized story about Alfred, and it's written by Tom Taylor, who's been making waves over in Marvel with Uncanny X-Men. And I said it's been a big joke with him being mistaken for Tom King and vice versa. So very cool on that. Some good artwork and a story like that. And I can't wait to read that story as well. Now, those who know me know I'm not the world's biggest Joker fan. In fact, I think he's way overused. I think he's overhyped, and it annoys me to no end that everybody needs to write a Joker story. Some people cannot give up Joker, like Scott Snyder. He's written a whole slew of Joker stories and keeps writing them more and more. Well, he's now writing a miniseries called The Batman Who Laughs, which is based on the characters from Metal, which are different Joker Batman hybrids who've come from different dimensions. Well, I picked this up only because I love Jock's artwork, and we'll see where Scott Snyder's going with it, but I'm not the biggest fan of the Joker, and it's supposedly going to be a big part of the ongoing storyline that Scott Snyder is writing, so we'll see, but ugh. Now, the reason why I wanted to do it differently was because I showed you Amazing Spider-Man number 12 from last week. Well, number 11 was the week before. So we have Amazing Spider-Man from Marvel, Amazing Spider-Man number 11, right here, written by Ryan Ottley. I'm sorry, Nick Spencer, with art by Ryan Ottley and Cliff Rathburn, which details the first part of the story that I showed you the second part of already. So there's that. Also, Spider-Geddon number 5 ended last week. Well, these books led into Spider-Geddon 5. Got 4 right here. Spider-Girls #3, which details all of the different variations of Spider-Man and MJ's daughters. Jody Hauser, writer, Andreas Genulat, penciler and inker, and I think no, they're not. I don't know if they all are, but yeah, so that's what they all are. So as I said, these miniseries led to the finale of Spider-Geddon, which I showed you from last week. Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider #3, continuing this storyline as well for Spider-Geddon, written by Cernan McGuire with art by Rosie Campe. So Spider-Gwen's been one of those really popular new characters. She's in the Spider-Verse movie as well. And I got my daughter a Spider Ghost doll, or Ghost Spider doll, so that's pretty cool. Spider-Force #3, featuring Jessica Drew Spider-Woman, written by Christopher Priest with art by Marcello Ferreira and Ibrahim Roberson, with inks by Robert Pogge, Ibrahim Roberson, and Craig Young. So that's, as I said, another big storyline. All these culminated in Spider-Geddon #5, which I showed you previously. So there's that on that. And finally, Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man #313, also a Spider-Geddon crossover, written by Sean Ryan, with art by Juan Frigeri. So hopefully with all the Spider-Geddon stuff, we'll be able to get, different stories and stuff like that. So we'll see. I also showed you the wedding issue that came out this week. Well, this is the wedding special, which led up to that. Again, a bunch of stories written by Gail Simone and Lara Braga, Dan Slott, Mark Buckingham, and Fred Hembeck. So just different storylines. And then the Fred Hembeck one, which I haven't seen his artwork in a while. There we go. As it for Marvel, I'm still not done. I still got all the independents to go. Again, this came out on December 12th, and I'm always a sucker for holiday comics, so I got a bunch of these. Jingle Bell hasn't been around for a while, and this is her newest special, written by Paul Dini, who created this character way back in the early 2000s and has done a bunch of specials every Christmas, but has taken a break for a while. This is a brand new one. It's her first one in a really long time. Written by Paul Dini with art by Nicoletta Balderi. The story is about how Homemade Presents have decided that they want to take over from regular presents. So they take over Santa's workshop. It's up to Jingle Bell, who is Santa's mischievous daughter, to save the day. So, good book there. Every year, the Hellboy Winter Special comes out, and every year I enjoy it even more and more, except this year I'm disappointed that Mike Mignola did not draw a story, but we do have a story written by him. With art by Ben Steinbeck. We also have a story and art by Gabriel Ba and Fabio Moon, and then we have one by Tonishi Fuzonji. Again, short stories based in the Hellboy world around the holidays. And it's always a good series. We also have the Red Sonja special edition. We all know why holiday special. It's a holiday special, so I got that on top of that. I also have Chainmail Beauty. Gotta love Chainmail Beauties. We got Amy Chu and Eric Burnham writers. Ricardo Jamie did a story, and also we had Roy Thomas and Claire Nodo do a story, and especially there's a reprint from a 1977 story with art by Frank Thorne. So we have an original story, gorgeous hot chainmail chick. And then we have a reprint from the old school Conan stories from Marvel. So we got 2 stories in there. And that's it for the holiday ones. We also have the final issue of the Red Sonja versus Tarzan. Also Gail Simone, Walter Giovanni artwork. Again, Hot Woman in Chainmail, along with Hot Mail and Loincloth. So you get the 2 of them together, which hasn't been seen very often and makes a lot of sense. Last issue of that one. The Lone Ranger #3 with written by Mark Russell, who will be taking over Red Sonja, and he's the guy who wrote the Flintstones and the Snagglepuss Chronicles, with art by Bob Q. It's been an interesting story. I've read the first 2 issues, and it's about homesteaders and stuff like that, so it's kind of interesting, but kind of like the minimal cover. Animosity Evolution #9, written by Marguerite Bennett, with art by Eric Gapstar. This is a story about animals who become sentient and take over the earth. And there's a comic called Animosity, which details what happened is happening, in the future. This is the stuff that happened leading up to after the animals became sentient. So we've got 2 different stories that eventually will cross over. They're both written by Marguerite Bennett. Mystery Science Theater 3000, the comic #3, written by Joel Hodgson and Harold Buckles, Matt McGinnis, Seth Robinson, Cheryl Volpe, and Mary Robinson. Todd Nook does the host segment art. The end comics art is Jack Pollock and Mike Manley. So instead of putting them in movies, they put them in bad comics from the old days, and they make jokes about those things. So that's the way you do an MST3K comic. 2 more to go, and then we're done. Magic Order #5. The next to last issue of Mark Millar's and Oliver Coipel's first Netflix comic. Mark Millar has a license with them, and they're going to make these into cartoons and live action films, stuff like that. His whole of au revoir. So this one's a little bit more dark and disturbing than some of his other ones, but it's brand new. And finally, we have the last issue of Hey Kids Comics by Howard Chaykin, which is a look at the comics industry of the 1960s, fictional stories, but kind of what led to how comics were made, but with different characters and fictional stuff. So that is that. So that was a lot of comics. That was a lot of stuff. So I am done for 2018 for comics. There'll be no more Comic Haul for this year. We'll start fresh next year. One viewer who was watching, thank you for watching all the way. I know it got a little boring near the end, so I am now officially done. No more Comic Haul this year, so you guys have a great 2018. Go out there, buy comics as always. If you can't find your local comic shop, go to your search engine, type in Comic Shop Locator Service, or the CSLS. When you find the website, click on it. It'll take you to their page. You type in your zip code. It'll give you all the comic shops within about a 20-mile radius. And you go visit them, directions, connections to the website, stuff like that. So you figure stuff out. All right, gang. See you next year with more comics. Some good stuff coming up next year. Interesting things going on. And probably seeing less and less comics. I'll be cutting to the bone as I've been threatening. But I will definitely probably start doing it. Starting next week, I'm cutting 2 books I've been getting recently just because I can. I haven't been reading them. All right. Thank you all. Have a great 2019. Happy New Year. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Buy comics. Read comics. Enjoy.